Get your headlines right here from the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you stopping by on a Thursday. Let's break down the headlines in college football. We remind you that the Amazon link's in the description section of all the videos. When you shop on Amazon, please use our link. Same shopping experience for you. Doesn't compromise your account in any way, and also helps build the channel. All right, let's get right to it. I looked at ESPN. I looked at CBS Sports. No comparison. CBS Sports is not missing anything that's on ESPN, plus add some meat to the bone, some really good headlines on CBS Sports. So let's get right to it. College football playoff schedule, dates, kickoff times, channels for 11 games, and national championship announced for the 12-team playoff starting in 2024 and into 2025. 9 of the 11 games will be broadcast on ESPN, which extended its exclusive contract with the CFP. 2 first-round games will appear for both ESPN and ABC. However, 2 other afternoon first-round games were sub-licensed to TNT Sports. Remember those Saturday night TBS games way back in the 80s and 90s? Both TNT games will go directly up against NFL matchups. That's why ESPN said, you know what, take it, because, of course, ESPN wants to provide post-game of those NFL matchups and wants to be a destination of those NFL playoff games post-game analysis. For the first time, postseason matchups will take place on campus sites in the first round. Seeds 5 through 12 will participate in the first round of the CFP, with games taking place on the campuses of higher-ranked seeds. We've known all this for a long time. Seeds 1 through 4 are the conference championship teams out of the Power 4, or the highest ranked that we assume come from the Power 4 with first-round buys. The national championship game in Atlanta gets pushed all the way back to January 20th. Sounds like a Super Bowl date at this point. The 2026 CFP title game goes to Miami Gardens in Florida. No other sites will be announced. So the setup is pretty close to what we've anticipated and talked about here at the Voice of College Football, because there would be 4 first-round matchups, that there would be a spillover onto Friday night leading into a Saturday of a triple header. And so here we go with particular times and networks. ESPN/ABC for the Friday game, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't know what considerations have to be made there. Maybe considerations about the attractiveness of the matchup. So you see the strategy right there. Kicking off at noon, getting a full hour, that's more than a quarter of football in before the NFL playoff game starts at 1 o'clock. That's the customary NFL playoff start for the first game of the day and each and every regular season Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So college football gets the jump at noon. So they want to grab attention, of course, grab the football audience for those people that say, you know what, NFL is the priority, but man, I like college football. Of course, I'm going to watch free football and watch that early. And then maybe you entice them with a good football game. Maybe they forget about the NFL or think, you know what, it's just the first quarter in the NFL. We're close to halftime. Maybe we pick up some viewers there and maintain an audience. That's the obvious strategy right there for TNT in the college football playoff. This is uncharted territory, basically, because think about this. College football has never had to go head-to-head with its biggest games against the NFL. The NFL and college football have cooperated for years and years and years, and the NFL continues to infringe on college football territory, while college football continues to expand the schedule, bowl games, playoffs, all of that. So we do come into a situation now where there is overlap, and now with big games, overlap. Also, we have a situation where college football is at a huge disadvantage by playing on TNT, because college football fans and sports fans are not used to finding college football there. No TNT college football the entire season, and then boom, we hit you with playoff games. It's like those first few years of the NCAA men's basketball tournament that were on True TV and wherever else they threw these, and people were talking for weeks. Can't find the games, don't know where the games are, where are they? I'm frustrated, I can't find them, I've given up all that other business. Well, TNT, a little bit more established in the consciousness of Americans and the sports fan. However, still, I would have recommended doing a little TNT college football leading into the playoffs to get people used to that destination. Maybe they'll do something where they transfer some people over there just to get people used to checking out TNT for college football, because wham, they're going to hit us over the head with a TNT college football playoff game at noon Eastern time. And of course, they're going to hit us heavy with promos the previous night, Friday night on ESPN or ABC, to let us know TNT is the place to be for the doubleheader leading into the triple header back to ABC and ESPN on Saturday night. And then NFL playoff games, shoot, right out of the gate, they do 20 to 25 ratings. And if you're not familiar with that, let me just let you know, on the American landscape of television in this day and age, with all that's offered offline, online, and with Netflix and all those other services, a 20 to 25 rating on television is unheard of. The NFL has been just completely Teflon when it comes to taking the media hit that everybody else has taken in this day and age of the internet. And to go up against college football, this is going to be a brutal beating for college football. There's no question about that. They'll probably put their worst matchups against the NFL to not take a beating with their best teams. But again, they're going to have 4 teams playing. And so these are going to be 4 of those seeds between 5 and 12 that are going to have to go up against the NFL. Just consider this. This is how much college football stayed out of the NFL's way. The Rose Bowl doesn't budge for anyone, anything, nothing. The Rose Bowl, sacred, much like the Masters, says, you know what, we are different. The Rose Bowl is not budged for college football playoff games. They've had to work the playoff games around the Rose Bowl. January 1st, this is tradition, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Well, what happens on January 1st when it's a Sunday? The NFL doesn't move. The NFL doesn't care about the Rose Bowl. The NFL plays its games. The Rose Bowl moves to January 2nd. We move it from the on-campus sites, which are going to be so interesting to see December football, playoff football on campus, to the traditional New Year's 6 bowls, Fiesta on New Year's Eve, and then into the triple header on January 1st, Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl, and Sugar Bowl. And then the semifinals are played on January 9th and 10th. Not a double header for the semifinals. So that's a different setup than what we've had with the 4-team for the last 10 years. Orange on January 9th, and then January 10th is the Cotton Bowl national championship game. Gotta wait 10 more days, as is customary right now, so we're used to it. But now working late into January in Atlanta, January 20th, for the 2024 national championship. I may have more to say on this one a little bit later. Possibly we'll produce a video. Of course, we will always take your calls and questions here at the Voice of College Football. So give me a call about the schedule of the college football playoff expanded to 12 teams, and such an interesting topic if you enjoy media and the like. Georgia receives a commit from a 5-star linebacker, Zayden Walker. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Of course, the commits coming in for Georgia under Kirby Smart, the top recruiting school in all of college football these days. Zayden Walker's the number 10 overall player and the number 2 linebacker in the cycle, according to 247 Sports. Walker visited Georgia last week and committed days later. They, quote, Georgia, check every box, getting me to the next level, making me the best I can be on and off the field, great head coach, good winning program. They really check every box, Walker told 247 Sports. So it's more of a why not type of deal with Georgia. It would be oh so interesting to get accurate intel on how much these guys are being paid through the NIL collectives when we see these versus the offers from the other schools. Walker's commitment bumps Georgia 6 spots into the top 10 of the 25 recruiting rankings, like there is any doubt that they'll be in the top 3 or 4. The Bulldogs have the number 9 recruiting class behind the likes of Notre Dame, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Alabama. Walker's the 10th member of Georgia's 2025 class as it stands right now, joining fellow blue chip products like 5-star tight end Ellis Williams, 4-star edge Darren Ikenigban, and the 4-star linebacker Jaden Pirlo, among others, or Pirlot. I apologize if I botched the pronunciation there. Walker and Williams are the 25th and 26th 5-star defenders to commit to Georgia since Smart landed his first number 1 overall recruiting class in 2018. 26 five-star defenders. The 24 class, historic. Bulldogs landed 4 five-star defenders. Cornerback Ellis Robinson. Then you got the linebacker Justin Williams, KJ Bolden at safety, Chris Cole, linebacker. Some of those guys have already shown us something. Finished behind only Texas A&M's 22 recruiting class as the highest ranked haul in the 247 Sports era, and most likely this Georgia class is going to stay more unified than the Texas A&M class, which hasn't lost many in number, but lost, as of the last count that I took, 7 of the top 8. Since Smart arrived from Alabama in 2015, he's recorded a top 10 class every year. And so the targets right now for Georgia in the running for a number of blue chip recruits: Griffin, 4-star linebacker Tavian Wallace, 4-star Travis Smith Jr., 4-star offensive tackle Cortez Smith, Wallace, the number 36 overall player, and the third-ranked linebacker in the cycle, is planning on visiting Georgia later this week. We ran down some ACC championship odds on Wednesday's show. Let's look at the group of 5. I haven't looked at group of 5 personnel. Don't know who's supposed to be good. I assume the typical line of group of 5 candidates, but I hear a lot of good things about Memphis and Ohio University, although hit hard by the transfer portal. Liberty, of course, was the group of 5 rep last year. So we want to give credit here to Chip Patterson in particular, because I believe that he is not just giving us the win totals, but also his prediction on the win totals. Mr. Patterson's going Memphis over 9.5 wins. The plus 128 means that if you lay down a $100 bet and you've got the over and you nail it, then you net 128. One example of a program that's ducked the narrative of losing players to the portal is Memphis, which ranks number 22 nationally in Bill Connolly's returning production rankings. They won 10 last year with a Liberty Bowl victory over Iowa State. The non-conference schedule cannot be chalked up to 4 easy wins in 2024, as the slate includes trip to Florida State in a matchup that pits Mike Norvell against his former team, of course, he being the mentor over Ryan Silverfield. Remember, it was Justin Fuente, then Mike Norvell. Now Silverfield continues the winning at Memphis. So they have stayed as a consistent top-level group of 5 program. High ceiling for the fall is set by the program's ability to keep starting quarterback Seth Hennigan. 6'3 senior, started 37 games over the last 3 years. In 2023, ranked top 5 nationally in passing yardage and passing touchdowns. Hennigan was a target of Power 4 programs in the transfer portal, but his commitment to Memphis speaks volumes of the current coaching staff. Liberty over 10.5 wins, plus 100. Now, the committee's going to have a decision to make concerning these group of 5 teams, of course, to distinguish not just the best record, but the best team, the best resume. And certainly Memphis plays a much better schedule than Liberty. So take the over here, according to Patterson. Liberty able to retain its star quarterback in Caden Salter, who hit the transfer portal after the Fiesta Bowl, but withdrew his name, came back to the program, threw 32 touchdowns last season with 12 rushing touchdowns, over 1,000 rushing yards. And, of course, the Flames flamed out in the Fiesta Bowl 49-6 against Oregon, but had the great regular season. Should not have been the rep last year. That should have gone to SMU. Liberty will once again be playing one of the more favorable schedules in the country, with New Mexico State its toughest Conference USA competition last season and undergoing a coaching change. The Flames appear to be on the top tier. So you can check out Chip Patterson's article and his selections of over-under win totals, but we checked out 2 that should be in contention for that playoff spot from the group of 5. I thought that was going to be more of a news article. I thought that that was an announcement of odds from Vegas, so my apologies there, but still an interesting read in terms of group of 5 contenders, or Chip Patterson's selections basically against the win totals. Now let's get back to the news. North Carolina legislation would require UNC and NC State to play group of 5 schools on a regular basis, meaning every season. House Bill 965, entitled UNC Intrastate Athletic Competition. The bill would require both UNC and NC State to play either Appalachian State, Charlotte, or East Carolina every season in football. not just at home. They've got to go on the road. They would be required to complete a home-and-home series with all three over a 6-year span. North Carolina and App State, of course, played, as it says here, some compelling football. They had a 3-game series, 2 in Chapel Hill, 1 at App State. And those games were thrillers. Of course, they played that one crazy 63-61 type game in overtime. App State is not currently on UNC's future schedules. They're obviously going to be added in the next 6 years. UNC is scheduled to play Charlotte this season and in 2025 at Charlotte. So this is already lined up to a certain extent. But the Heels do not have games set up against these three teams covered by the bill beyond 25. The only in-state opponent that's part of NC State's future right now is Western Carolina in 2024. They've got East Carolina in 2025, App State in 2026, so they're set for the next 3 seasons, and they're set to play ECU in 2028, Charlotte in 30 and 31. So these schools have maybe seen this coming and already scheduled these games against the in-state foes. So basically the legislation, at least on the surface, wants to promote economic development. I don't know if they're looking at also possibly the realignment of college football, anything had to do with that, but I believe economic development. They want to keep the dollars in state, promote these lower level teams as well. And East Carolina has been a common opponent for both of these schools for a long, long time, especially NC State. NC State's only 19 and 13 all time against the Pirates. And if you remember, 2 to 3 seasons ago, went down to the wire against East Carolina at home when NC State was highly touted coming into the season. North Carolina just 11 and 5 against ECU. These are going to be the first games for Charlotte against North Carolina and NC State. I love this. I wish it was a home and home with Notre Dame going to play on the blue turf, but I'll take what I can get. Notre Dame hosting Boise State in 2025. This is the first time Notre Dame and Boise State will ever play. They have never played. The game is set for October 4th of 25 at Notre Dame Stadium. And now Notre Dame has just one game to fill on next season's schedule. And so Notre Dame has went out and scheduled a scary opponent here. They're not going to get a whole lot of credit for winning this game, but on the other hand, it's not going to look good if they lose it, and it's a difficult 4-week stretch here. We see Notre Dame hosts Texas A&M. Of course, they go to Texas A&M this year. They've got Purdue on the 20th of September before traveling to Arkansas on September 27th, and then that leads into the October 4th game against Boise State. Boise State has never played in the state of Indiana, and they've got an interesting run of non-conference games for them against South Florida on the road, so another big trip for them a few weeks earlier all the way across the country, hosting Eastern Washington, and then against App State. That's a game that should be played more often. App State, Boise State is two of the great powers of the group of 5. Could Boise State pull off the upset in 2025 at Notre Dame, a la Cincinnati in 2021, who became, of course, the first ever group of 5 team, thanks to the win against Notre Dame, which was a complete aberration because, of course, those teams had no idea that that was going to be the situation because they scheduled the game back in 2013 that Cincinnati would have a shot at the playoff. But lo and behold, they got to play the game that they had to play to get an 11-1 Notre Dame team out of their way, win the game head-to-head at Notre Dame. Boise State will have that opportunity. Although they've got other opportunities in a different world of this 12-team playoff with the guaranteed position for the group of 5. Amazon links in the description section of all the videos when you shop on Amazon. Please try it out. Guarantee you. Doesn't mess up your account. Doesn't do anything. It will be completely seamless for you. Helps grow the channel, build the channel, and we enjoy your contribution here at the Voice of College Football. We got a Clemson show, courtesy Edward and Jordan Clemson, usually 7 o'clock. Check the listing, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Clemson channel. Also, of course, our Big 12 show on the West Virginia channel Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be back live on Friday for the Big 10 live show at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep in mind also that we'll do these headlines each and every morning, either live or recorded. Leave your preferences down below. Certainly CBS was the place to be for the best headlines versus ESPN today. If you've got a preference of any sites that are national, please let me know here at the Voice of College Football. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Only 40% of you that watch the videos are subscribed, so please do that before you leave, and we appreciate it. We'll see you next time with headlines on Friday.